Hello, everyone, and welcome to Daily Newspaper Analysis, which is brought to you by LawSikho. So, today we have a very good editorial which we'll be taking from the Hindu newspaper. The title of this editorial is Tradition and Formality, though the basic crux of this we have already discussed. That was a tussle between the Chief Minister and Governor of West Bengal. But what is the thing about it, and how this tussle can create problem, and why such problems should not be seemed to become that big that they should be affecting the constitutionality will be discussed over here. On the second thing, we have the news update, which is important for a prelims exam. And thirdly, we have the legal news, which is specifically important for various entrance examinations for Indian judicial services. Now let's discuss that why at all we are discussing this article. It is about the tussle between the political leaders, and it says that it should not lead to politicizing of constitutional norms. So basically it says that constitution should remain completely independent of the politics, and in no way there should be any impact of the political culture or political fabric on the constitutional norms that we have. So, as we know that a few days ago there was a tussle between the Chief Minister of West Bengal, Mamata Banerjee, and the Governor, Mr. Dhankar. So, Mamata Banerjee, she actually had blocked the governor from Twitter. So basically, this talks about that because of this entire tussle going on between the CM and the governor refused to give his address at the commencement of the session. Now, as we know that it is a constitutional formality that in the state legislature, the governor, and in the parliament, the president gives an address at the beginning of every session. But this was actually brought to a question because of this tussle in West Bengal. So let's understand that what is the significance of the governor's address. Now, the address made by the governor at the beginning of the session is a constitutional formality, and this is because it is a statement of policy for the regime of the day. Basically, it says that what will be the discussion, what will be the policy, discussion going that will go on in the day and in the session, basically, and that is why it is important to give a good start to the session. Now, the formal occasion being politicized is a sign of institutional decay and unwarranted politicization of constitutional norms. Now, see, whatever be the reason of tussle or whatever be the reason of friction between the chief minister and the governor, that is a political matter. Mostly, it is a political matter. But if at all this political matter or the politicization can take place, or if it can find its way through the constitutional norms, like for example here we have about the address that the governor had to give, then definitely it's not a good sign. And we must understand here that maybe our leaders are giving more importance to their political preferences or political choices as compared to the constitution, which is definitely detrimental for the society at large. Now, the chief minister of West Bengal recognized this as a constitutional crisis, and the same should also be adhered to in the state of Telangana. Now, here we will be discussing that there are two extremes that are going on in the state of West Bengal and Telangana. As we know that in West Bengal, the governor refused to give his address. In Telangana, it was actually he was not even asked. Basically, K. Chandrasekhar Rao, who is there over the chief minister, his government decided not to have the governor address, and the of the legislature before presenting this year's budget. Now, these are two contradicting situations, but any which way, what we are seeing here is the decay or basically the detrimentation or the unwanted or unwarranted politicization of the constitutional norms. Now, while the chair of the governor and their political bias may be debated, as long as a tradition is in vogue, there is a case for abiding established norms as well. Now, whatever be the case, whatever be the case, whatever be the reasons for disagreement between the chief minister or the government and the governor, basically, but still some things have to be taken care of, and the constitutional norms have to be fulfilled no matter what. Now, as we said, that there are two contrasting issues going on in two states, wherein in West Bengal, the chief minister and legislators of her party had to plead the governor to start reading his customary address, wherein Mr. Dhankar, he was not ready to give in to this protest, but still he finally, was persuaded to read the first and the last lines of his address. And on the contrary, in Telangana, as we discussed, the government decided not to have the governor address the legislature before presenting this year's budget. Now, this is due to them claiming that the earlier session was not prorogued, and hence this is a continuation of the last session. So basically, the government in Telangana said that we are actually continuing the session from the previous one because it was never prorogued, and thus there is no beginning of a new session, and thus we do not want the address of the governor for the new session because it is not a new session at all. But whatever be the case, the constitution should not be put at stake. Now let's see what do we have for news updates for the day. Firstly, Dubai adopts first virtual asset law. So the Emirate of Dubai has adopted its first law governing virtual assets and established a regulator to oversee the sector. Virtual assets generally encompass the products including cryptocurrencies and NFTs, which are basically the non-fungible tokens, but the announcement did not specify which assets would come under the new law. So this is important for us to note what the virtual assets are and which country has recently accepted or brought in the new virtual asset laws. Secondly, World Kidney Day is today, that is on 10th of March. So it is a global campaign aimed at raising awareness of the importance of our kidneys. World Kidney Day comes back every year, which means it's an annual event, and all across the globe, many hundred events take place from public screenings in Argentina to Zumba marathons in Malaysia. So, World Kidney Day is a joint initiative of the International Society of Nephrology and the International Federation of Kidney Foundations. Thirdly, Covovax gets a nod for use in 12 to 17 age group. So Serum Institute of India's COVID-19 vaccine, the name is Covovax, has been given restricted emergency use for children between 12 to 17 years under certain conditions. So it is the fourth vaccine to receive the regulator's approval for use among those below 18 years. Fourthly, WHO Global Center for Traditional Medicine in Gujarat. So the Union Cabinet, which was chaired by Prime Minister, has approved the establishment of WHO Global Center for Traditional Medicine in Jamnagar, Gujarat, by signing a host country agreement between Government of India and the World Health Organization. So, if we talk about this WHO GCTM, which is the Global Center for Traditional Medicine, it will be established in Jamnagar under the Ministry of Ayush. So, this would be the first and only global outposted center or the office for traditional medicine across the globe, which is definitely a good promotion of the Indian medication system under the Ministry of Ayush. Fifthly, we have Rizwan Hasan to get International Women of Courage Award 2022. So, Chief Executive of Bangladesh Environmental Lawyers Association, Sayyida Rizwana Hasan, has been named for Annual International Women of Courage 2022 award. She is also an esteemed Bangladesh Supreme Court lawyer. The recognition comes in light of her fight to protect the environment and the rights of the marginalized community of Bangladeshis. Now let's see what do we have for the new legal news today. Firstly, that we can't segregate armed forces on caste basis, says the Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court on Tuesday expressed clear disinclination to deal with a plea seeking reservation for SCs, STs, and OBCs in the National Defense Academy. So the bench referred to the case of Kush Kalra versus Union of India and said that principles of civil employment could not be made applicable to the armed forces, which indeed is a homogeneous unit. Secondly, Order 26, Rule 13 and 14, it says it can't lay down hard and fast rules for partition of joint family properties according to the Bombay High Court. So it has reiterated that the supervisory and discretionary powers that have been conferred to it under Article 227 of the Indian Constitution cannot merely be used to correct an error in facts, and the same can only be used for proper administration of justice. So this was all for the day. We hope it was a good session for you all. Thank you so much for staying tuned with LawSikho. If you wish to download the PDF of today's slides, you can join a Telegram channel. The link is there in the description box below, or you can scan this QR code that you can see on your screens right now. Also, for other exam-oriented and crisp content, follow us on our Instagram channels for Judiciary, CLAT, UGC Net, and Law Finance exam. Thank you so much.